The movie begins with a female soldier called Mulan, who secretly infiltrates the Kingdom of Greenland under the orders of her general to kill the prince. When she successfully enters the prince's chambers, she is surprised and confused to discover that the prince is just a little child. She wonders why her general would want her to kill a young boy. The little boy realizes she's an assassin and begs Mulan not to take his life. We later find out that this child is actually the younger brother of the real prince, who is seen outside tending to his horse. As soon as Mulan retreats from her mission, the little boy alerts the palace guards, who begin chasing after her. Although Mulan is a girl, her skills are incredible, and we see her taking down many guards attempting to capture her. Suddenly, the real prince of the kingdom appears, riding a white horse. He also attempts to capture Mulan and uses one of his tricks to make her fall off her horse. Furiously, Mulan runs toward him, lands a powerful kick and tries to escape on his horse. However, the prince manages to catch up with her, and a serious fight breaks out between the two skillful warriors. Both are so distracting during the fight that they fall off the side of a mountain. The prince later wakes up to see the assassin lying unconscious. He tries to use the opportunity to take her life, only to discover, shockingly, that she's a girl. This puts him in a state of confusion, wondering why a girl would be a murderer. As he checks to see if she's still alive, Mulan knocks him out. Not knowing he is the prince, she calls him a mere stable boy. The prince tells her that he knows a way out of the mountains, which causes her to change her mind about killing him. Suddenly, giant scorpions emerge from the mountain rocks and begin attacking them. The creatures are too many to fight off, so the only option is to run. Mulan tells the prince to find an escape path while she lures the scorpions away. When the prince finds a path, he signals to Mulan. As she runs to join him, he notices a scorpion following her. He jumps in to save her from being bitten. After a long struggle, Mulan manages to pull him out of danger using a rope. Admiring his bravery and courage, she treats his wound by sucking out the poison. Believing she doesn't know his identity, the prince questions Mulan about why she wanted to kill the prince. Mulan responds saying it was his kingdom that invaded hers first. Meanwhile, we see soldiers searching the mountains for the prince's whereabouts. The prince, exhausted and hungry, finds an eagle's egg and runs to it in excitement, only to be attacked by the mother eagle. The two manage to use the eagle as a means of escaping the mountains. As they bond, Mulan asks the prince for his name, and he gives her a fake one, afraid she might kill him if she knew his real identity. The prince shares his dream of traveling the world to see new things, while Mulan says she has no dreams because she's serving in the army in place of her father. Suddenly, the prince's horse finds them in the forest and helps speed up their journey. They stop at a restaurant to eat and witness the owner harassing a customer. The prince intervenes saying, "I'm going to teach you a lesson." The owner brings in men to attack him, but the prince defeats them easily. They continue their journey until they arrive at Mulan's kingdom, called the Plain Kingdom. At this point, they must go their separate ways. The prince is clearly disappointed, having spent a meaningful time with her. Before she leaves, Mulan reveals her real name, and they part ways. Mulan returns to her kingdom and reports her failed mission to the chief. The general enters upon hearing of her failure to kill the prince of Greenland. He scolds her and even insults her father, calling him a coward for sending Mulan to war instead of going himself, despite being very old. Mulan becomes furious and warns the general that while she can tolerate insults toward herself, she will not tolerate insults toward her father. Angered by her disrespect, the general wants to punish her, but the chief pleads on her behalf. As punishment, Mulan is stripped of her rank and locked in prison. Meanwhile, in the Kingdom of Greenland, the prince's younger brother pleads with the general to find his missing brother. Moments later, the prince returns and tells his brother about his adventures with the assassin, Mulan. His brother thinks he's gone mad. The general is even more surprised when instead of sending the army to find and capture the assassin, the prince asks for the address of a tailor. Back in prison, Mulan remembers the promise she made to her father to bring honor and glory to their family. Suddenly, we see the prince's horse show up and help Mulan escape from prison. The horse takes Mulan to the prince, who hands her a dress he made for her because he secretly wants to see her real beauty. She is hesitant at first, but later decides to put the dress on. The prince shows her a reflection of herself, and she turns out to be really beautiful, which makes her so excited. She tells the prince more about herself, how, when she was little, she became interested in kung fu and practiced it with the boys in her kingdom who made fun of her because she's a girl, but she later became better than them. She decided to learn Kung Fu because her dad didn't have any sons, which made him unhappy. So she wanted to prove to him that a daughter is just as good as a son. On the other hand, the general finds out that Mulan has escaped, but the chief calms him down, saying he will take responsibility for finding Mulan. What's more important is thinking of a strategy to attack the Greenland Kingdom. The general disapproves of this because the emperor has already ordered them to only defend, not attack. The prince suddenly gains the courage to reveal his true feelings to Mulan and tells her to travel all around the world with him. But sadly, Mulan doesn't agree because having any relationship with him would mean going against her kingdom, making them see her as a traitor. She suddenly returns to the Plain Kingdom and locks herself back in prison. Mulan keeps thinking about the prince, and we later find out that she also has feelings for him. On the other hand, we see the prince in a serious argument with his father as he believes going to war isn't the best way to solve issues between the two nations. He also tells his father about his feelings for Mulan. His father disapproves, but after the prince pleads over and over, he finally agrees to the marriage between the prince and Mulan, believing it could be a way to bring peace to both nations. Immediately, the prince writes a letter to inform her of his father's approval and also to reveal his true identity as the prince. He sends one of his guards to deliver the letter to the Plain Kingdom, but it ends up falling into the wrong hands. We see Mulan training for the upcoming war until she sees a man being chased by a mercenary and decides to intervene, believing it would help her improve her sword-fighting skills. The mercenary turns out to be a woman, and what shocks Mulan is that she also knows how to fight. Mulan battles her and manages to help the man escape. The mercenary tells her she has just let a criminal escape, but Mulan is confident the man is innocent and that the mercenary is the real criminal. They get into a serious combat. Although the woman is very skillful, Mulan manages to defeat her, but suddenly decides to spare her life and appeals to her to join her side, believing her skills would be of great use to the Plain Kingdom. But the woman disagrees and leaves, saying it's not about who is on the right side, but who is on the right cause. A few moments later, the general brings a reply letter to the prince which disapproves of his marriage to Mulan. The prince feels something suspicious is going on. He believes Mulan might be in danger and orders his general to summon the army so they can attack the Plain Kingdom. Meanwhile, the general in the Plain Kingdom approaches Mulan and thanks her for saving their prince, who is revealed to be the boy Mulan rescued from the mercenaries earlier. That prince had detected Mulan was a girl because of her voice, but the general and his army never noticed. Mulan has no choice but to confess to both the general and the prince that she is really a girl who disguised herself as a man to represent her father in the army. The general sees this as an abomination and orders his men to capture her, but the prince commands them to stop, saying she should instead be rewarded for saving his life. The prince's name is later revealed as Jack. He informs Mulan that the prince of the Greenland Kingdom wants to marry her and that he approves of it as he sees it as a way to form an alliance with Greenland. But Mulan, still thinking the real prince is the little boy she was sent to kill, rejects the marriage. All of a sudden, a servant tells the prince that the enemy kingdom, Greenland, is about to attack them. We see a massive army, led by the Prince of Greenland, heading toward the Plain Kingdom. Everyone, including the general, is afraid. But Mulan comes out and appeals to the king to let her go into battle and fight for their sake, since the rejection of her marriage might have caused the war. We see Mulan walking out of the Plain Kingdom alone and challenging the best fighter in the Greenland army. The prince recognizes her as Mulan, but before he can act, his general charges at her at full speed. The prince is able to stop him just in time. Mulan is shocked to learn that this boy turns out to be the real prince. The Greenland prince wanted to tell her everything in the letter, but realizes now that it never reached her. Mulan is furious that the prince didn't reveal his identity. He replies that he was afraid she might kill him. Mulan suddenly attacks the prince, not giving him a chance to explain, but the prince doesn't fight back. Instead, he calms her and informs the entire army that there will now be peace between their two kingdoms, which makes everyone rejoice. The prince of the Plain Kingdom throws a celebration with the Greenland Kingdom in honor of their new peace, as the two kingdoms had been enemies for many years. We see the prince of the Plain Kingdom expressing his gratitude to the prince of Greenland, saying he is the reason their kingdoms are now united in peace.
We also see Mulan thanking the chief for everything he has done for her, and she finds out that the chief is going to a different location now that the battles are over. He tells her to come find him if she ever needs anything. We get to find out that the Plain Kingdom general is unhappy about the peace treaty with the Greenland Kingdom and even tries to cause a scene. He disrespects Prince Jack over his decision, arguing that their kingdoms have been enemies for so many years and that becoming friends overnight is a terrible idea. But the prince dismisses him. On the other hand, we see the Prince of Greenland having a conversation with Mulan on the castle balcony. Mulan feels there is a conspiracy, as the letter the prince sent never got to her. Suddenly, the general of the Plain Kingdom sounds an alarm, announcing that their prince has gone missing. He believes the Greenland prince is responsible and orders his men to find both Mulan and the Greenland prince. Mulan and the Greenland prince quickly understand the situation and manage to hide. After a long search, the Plain Kingdom general is unable to find the Greenland prince and decides to use the opportunity to go to full-scale war with Greenland's army. Mulan believes the Plain Kingdom general may have something to do with their missing prince and wants to go to the chief, who has the authority to expose the general's evil deeds. But the Greenland prince begs her not to go, warning that she might endanger herself in the process, and pleads with her to join him in escaping back to his kingdom. Mulan knows that if she follows the Greenland prince, she will be considered a traitor, which would bring shame upon her family's name, so she refuses. The Greenland prince becomes very unhappy and escapes alone back to his kingdom. Mulan pays a visit to the chief's residence, only to be surprised to find the same mercenary girl once again. The girl boldly reveals that she was the one who kidnapped Plain Kingdom Prince Jack in exchange for a huge amount of money. When Mulan questions her about who ordered her to kidnap the prince, the chief suddenly appears out of nowhere, admitting that he was the one behind it. Mulan is shocked to see this and realizes the chief she trusted so much was the mastermind behind everything. He was also the one who burned the love letter from the Prince of Greenland. We find out that the chief's reason for sending Mulan to kill the Greenland prince and for capturing the Plain Kingdom prince was that he planned to eliminate them both so he could rule the two kingdoms by himself. After hearing the chief's evil intentions, the mercenary returns the money to him and threatens him to release the Plain Kingdom prince, saying that if the two kingdoms go to war because of his selfish desires, many lives will be lost. The mercenary and Mulan engage in combat with the chief in an attempt to free the prince and stop the war. But the chief defends their attacks easily, shocking them both as they begin to wonder who this man truly is. The chief proposes that Mulan join his cause, but she refuses. According to their plan, the two girls continue to fight the chief until they are able to lead him to a giant bell, which they manage to drop on him, crushing him to death. As the two girls believe the chief is dead, he suddenly lifts the giant bell, revealing that he isn't an ordinary human. He angrily throws the bell at them, and Mulan, seeing the danger, sacrifices herself to save the mercenary girl she barely knew. Fortunately, Mulan doesn't die, but the pillars that fall on her severely injure her. The mercenary girl tries to defend her, but she is easily knocked out by the chief. As the chief is about to kill her, the Greenland prince arrives and stops him with his arrows. Mulan begs the prince to run away, believing he is no match for the chief, but he doesn't listen and continues his attacks. Surprisingly, this prince is incredibly skilled at archery, shooting 3 arrows at once. However, the chief dodges them all. The prince finally lands a shot, but it has no effect. The chief beats him mercilessly, but the prince refuses to give up, trying to hang on so Mulan won't be killed. With renewed motivation, Mulan manages to free herself from the stones and attacks the weakened chief. She finally lands a brutal kick that sends the chief off the mountain. Mulan weeps thinking the prince is dead, but he suddenly regains consciousness. Peace is restored between both kingdoms. A month later, we see Mulan and the prince riding their horses as they set off on an adventure to see the world together.